It's time for our daily dose of cope, and we have a new field correspondent, Lila Swift, filling in for the Leopards. The Leopards needed a couple more days off. Today's stories are pretty interesting. We're going to start out with MAGA versus Republican. It's getting quite interesting out there. We've been talking about this one big beautiful BS of a bill. Right now, the Senate has the bill and they are debating it and they're about to vote on it. Right now, though, the Republicans are not all on one page. They have some defects and they cannot afford any defects. Well, they can afford up to 3 people to say no in order to get this passed. Well, Tom Tillis, a Republican, he said he is not going to seek re-election because he is a no on the one big beautiful BS of a bill. Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina announced on Sunday that he would not seek re-election next year. Tillis was one of the most high-profile Republicans to say he could not support Trump's big, beautiful bill, Republicans' massive tax and spending bill, in its current form. Trump on social media had attacked him as a talker and a complainer, not a doer, and threatened to support primary challengers to him next year. He was one of only 2 Senate Republicans, along with Rand Paul from Kentucky, who late on Saturday voted against a motion to start debate on the policy package. For days, Tillis has criticized the Medicaid provisions in the bill and says he has data showing it would require his state to pick up more than $30 billion in costs in order to make up for lost federal funding. So after he voted no and Trump started digging in, here's Trump on his live social page saying, Tom Tillis has hurt the great people of North Carolina. Even on the catastrophic flooding, nothing was done to help until I took office. Then a miracle took place. Tillis is a talker and a complainer, not a doer. He's even worse than Rand Fauci Paul. So he is going after these people. If they do not fall in line, this is what happens. And now they're talking about primarying. And then this happened. This person named Mila Joy says, breaking, North Carolina native Laura Trump is seriously thinking about running for senator to replace retiring rhino Tom Tillis. And I don't even know Tom Tillis to know if he's a rhino or not, but he's a Republican from North Carolina. And I am totally sure that he was walking in lockstep with them until it came to this bill. But now he is a rhino because he is not in lockstep and he is not kissing the ring of Donald Trump. So that happened. And then here's Charlie Kirk saying, Tom Tillis routinely fought to increase American intervention abroad while rejecting border security at home. He's also been a chief obstacle to the timely confirmation of Trump's nominees. His retirement is a golden opportunity to make North Carolina senators reflect priorities of North Carolina Republican voters. So all of MAGA is coming down on Tom Tillis right now. It is leopards versus leopards at this particular point. Let me put on my fake glasses so we can read this statement from Senator Tom Tillis. Actually, this is a bit too small. This is better. This is from his website. It says, statement from Senator Tom Tillis. Today, North Carolina U.S. Senator Tom Tillis issued the following statement. It has been a blessing to go on a journey from living in a trailer park and making minimum wage as a young man to having the honor of serving as U.S. Senator for North Carolina. I'm proud of my career in public service, including hard-fought victories like passing historic tax reforms as North Carolina Speaker and working in the Senate to help pass the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and confirm 3 conservative Supreme Court justices and counting. So this tells me right here that he is Republican. He is hardcore conservative. He is not a rhino. What I am most proud of are the bipartisan victories, passing the first in the nation eugenics compensation as Speaker and working across the aisle in the Senate to pass the largest investment in mental health in American history, passing the Respect for Marriage Act and monumental infrastructure investments. If he's talking about Respect for Marriage Act, I'm sure it is Respect for Marriage for straight people. I'm totally sure. And reestablishing the Senate NATO Observer Group. Sometimes those bipartisan initiatives got me into trouble with my own party, but I wouldn't have changed a single one. In Washington over the last few years, it's become increasingly evident that the leaders who are willing to embrace bipartisanship, compromise, and demonstrate independent thinking are becoming an endangered species. Democrats recently lost two such leaders who were dedicated to making the Senate more of a functional and productive legislative body. They got things done, but they were shunned after they courageously refused to cave to their party bosses to nuke the filibuster for the sake of political expediency. They ultimately retired, and their presence in the Senate chamber has been sorely missed every day since. It underscores the greatest form of hypocrisy in American politics. When people see independent thinking on the other side, they cheer. But when those very same people see independent thinking coming from their side, they scorn, ostracize, and even censure them. Too many elected officials are motivated by pure, raw politics who don't give a damn about the people they promise to represent on the campaign trail. After they get elected, they don't bother to do the hard work to research the policies they seek to implement and understand the consequences those policies could have on that young adult living in a trailer park, struggling to make ends meet. As many of my colleagues have noticed over the last year, and at times even joked about, I haven't exactly been excited about running for another term. That is true since the choices between spending another 6 years navigating the political theater and partisan gridlock in Washington, or spending that time with the love of my life, Susan, our 2 children, 3 beautiful grandchildren, and the rest of our extended family back home. It's not a hard choice, and I will not be seeking re-election. I know I've spent quite a few minutes on this particular story, but I do believe that it is important to put in all of the infighting, because I do believe that this infighting is going to be the reason Republicans are not particularly successful, even though they have both the Senate and the House and the presidency and the Supreme Court justices, because they can't get on the same page, because they know that all of this is going to be very unpopular and detrimental to their own constituents, even if they do vote for it and cheer and clap and all of that. Now we have a MAGA voter that was harmed or is being harmed by these tariffs. This was posted in the Leopards Ate My Face subreddit. It says Dan Turner voted Republican since Reagan and supports Trump, but his small business imports parts from China. Trump hit them with over $70,000 in additional tariffs. Now Turner is nervous about ordering more parts from China. All right, let's look at this article. It says Dan Turner has voted Republican since Reagan years and supports Donald Trump's goal of reviving the U.S. manufacturing industry. It's really a staple of civilization. I think we need to make things, he said. In January, before the tariffs were introduced, Mr. Turner ordered a hydraulic component from China worth $48,000. By the time the product was on the water, headed to the United States, Trump's tariffs meant the part would cost him $130,000. The tariff total was going to be 170%, which is around $82,000, up from the $12,000 that we had planned on. Oh my goodness, that has to hurt. But he voted for it because Trump ran on tariffs, so he deserves this financial strain. This quote says, to suck $70,000 out of a business with no good reason is very detrimental, but you voted for it, so you're getting the day that you voted for. Like many other small business owners relying on parts from China, Mr. Turner would have preferred a transition period rather than the chaotic announcement and escalation, particularly given he works in the industry President Trump says he's seeking to protect. As a manufacturer, it would have been nice to have been told there's the sequence of events and you have this many months before the tariffs are going to increase. I know I'm just a small part of this whole puzzle. There are companies that are potentially getting hit with millions of dollars of tariffs, he says. In mid-May, the chaos of Trump's trade policies suddenly improved things for Dan Turner's business. We found out this morning that the tariff will be 55%, which is a lot better than 170%, he says. It meant the tariff he would pay on his $48,000 component had fallen to around $27,000, far less than the estimated $82,000 he was expecting. Had the part arrived just 2 days earlier, he would have been stung with the 170% tariff. Despite the changes, Mr. Turner remains nervous about ordering any more parts from China. We are on hold with ordering anything from China, and with investing and finding alternative routes. We will research it, but we won't be making any investment into it, he says. So how long will this uncertainty hover over his business? He says maybe another 3.5 years, he laughs. He thinks this is funny. This is not funny, but this is what he deserves. The person that posted that in the subreddit says, 1. Dan Turner of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, supported Trump's bringing back manufacturing to the United States by imposing steep tariffs on goods imported to the U.S. from other countries. 2. Trump imposed tariffs on goods imported from China to the U.S., leading to China imposing tariffs on goods exported to China from the U.S. As a consequence of the tariff trade war, Turner's business, which imports industrial components from China, faced an additional $70,000 in tariffs. And now Turner is nervous about placing more orders. And to that, NorCal Chris says he would have preferred a transition period. Tragedy is a tragedy, and no amount of time before slipping into a grease fire is going to numb our pain. I'm sure trans youth would have liked a transition period to get their medications in order ahead of time, but that isn't happening either. And why should he get a transition period? Why? Why do they feel like they are important? They are not important in any of this. And I really hope that the financial strain really causes many of these people that voted for this to go out of business and literally lose everything. I wish the absolute worst for these people. The next post from the Leopards Ate My Face subreddit, this man right here, he says, I thought we were arresting gang members, murderers, and rapists. He's none of those. This is his person. This is the person he calls his little buddy. Let's get into this story. A lifelong Nebraskan U.S. Navy vet and dad, Randall had developed a father-son-like relationship with Hezon, or I don't know if it's Jason or Hezon Gonzalez Perez, a Guatemalan migrant who managed a couple of local restaurants in the Plattsmouth area where Randall lives. He described Gonzalez Perez as an inquisitive, eager to learn hard worker. The mentorship had grown to the point that Gonzalez Perez called Randall on June 7th when he, while looking for a bank branch to deposit funds on behalf of work, wound up in a snag with the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. A cell phone search had led Gonzalez Perez toward a branch on Offutt Air Force Base, where he was stopped and detained at a checkpoint when he could not produce a valid driver's license. Gonzalez Perez called Randall, who told the Nebraska Examiner he was blindsided by seeing immigration agents take away his buddy. He said conversations with on-site local law enforcement officers led him to believe that Gonzalez Perez would be allowed to leave if Randall drove the car. Randall said it looked as though the plainclothes ICE agents were called into duty unexpectedly. One brought a child with him as if the two had been on a family outing. I said, hey, wait, he's not a terrorist. He manages a restaurant. He's a good kid. He just made a wrong turn, Randall said, recounting the episode. I thought we were arresting gang members, murderers, and rapists. He's none of those. He expected God-fearing workers to be last in line. For the Plattsmouth area resident who considers himself an independent swing voter, a different reality has hit home and shifted his mindset on federal immigration enforcement. Call me naive, but my clear understanding was we were going after the bad actors, not hardworking immigrants, said Randall. I am honestly tired of these people acting like this is not what they voted for, as if we didn't see what happened in the first Trump term. The way they speak is so disingenuous. They should have known, especially since he said he was going after the criminals first. And if you listen to Tom Homan, he basically says if you are not documented, you are literally a criminal. They're going to come after your supposed friends and your little buddies and the lady who's a waitress in the restaurant that you like to come to. They're going to come after the people that you see at church. They're coming after the people with some brown skin simply because they can under this administration. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. Let me know what you think about all of this. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
men have things under control, right? You guys voted for a diaper-wearing, incontinent man-child who literally shits himself. The people he worked with on The Apprentice called the show the shit show because they constantly had to change Trump's diapers. You guys voted for an actual baby, and I'm supposed to believe you have things under control. We are on the verge of a nuclear world war, and I'm supposed to trust that you have things under control. There are women in this country who are dying because they can't get a DNC because of the abortion laws in their state, and I'm supposed to believe that you have things under control. Our boys are almost daily slipping down a red pill pipeline of hating women so much that they come into my comments and say things like, why don't you take a glass of wine, watch New Jersey Housewives or whatever the fuck, and let the men have it under control. You don't have it under control. You're not even smart enough to have things under control because you aren't even smart enough to realize that you voted for an incontinent narcissist who is destroying the economy. We had one of the worst stock market crashes that we've seen in 100 years, and I'm supposed to believe that you men have things under control. Your president can't even decide if he wants a tariff on or off because he is so incompetent. I'm supposed to believe that you people have things under control. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to come here on my TikTok to remind people that the men in fact do not have things under control. And in fact, you guys are so bad at running things that we're this close to a complete and total extinction of the human race. So how about you instead go get yourself a Bud Light, because that's probably all that you can afford, and go hang out in the garage and change my fucking tire, because that's all you're good for.